Hi, hi, Veronica. Hi, everyone. I guess we'll go ahead and get started. It is 6 o'clock. I do want to thank you all for taking the time to be here for the second session of the Summer Leadership Series. I really do appreciate it because I know it is summer and things get a little crazy in the summer for most people. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll kick it off right now. A couple of logistics before we really get into it. Feel free to stay on mute, keep your camera off or on, whatever makes you comfortable. If you have any questions throughout, go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll answer them at the end. And if you need to hop out at any moment for whatever reason, feel free to do that. I don't want you to feel like you're trapped in here or anything. So with that said, here's session 2, the recruitment movement. There are a couple of you in here I do know, so I apologize if you've heard this already, but there's a couple of you I don't. So just a quick introduction of who I am and why I'm doing this. My name is Emily Javitt. I am the Assistant Director for Engagement and Leadership here at Shippensburg University. What does that mean? I oversee 3 big parts on campus. I oversee Leader at Ship, which is something we're really trying to build up and to make a really awesome opportunity for students at campus. You'll hear more about that in the fall because we're going to want some students like you to come and join what we're doing. The second one, I co-advise APB. I'm sure all of you know about APB by now. So yeah, I work with all those students to put on those events. And the third one is student group services, which is why I'm doing this summer series for you all, because my role in that is to support student groups and to support the work and the events that you all do. I work in the Cub. My office is behind the info desk. This on the left is the only picture I have at work so far with Mike Dignan and Kyle Miller, if you know them, because I just started in November, and then as we all know, the pandemic hit. So I'm hoping in the fall I can get some nicer pictures of myself at work, but that's the top of my head. And here you can see my email too. So, if during or after this you have any questions about anything, feel free to email me. I'll put it in the chat at the end and have another slide about that. But yeah, so that's me. That's why I'm doing this. Here's just a quick outline for today. We're going to do some quick disclaimers, which if you attended the first session, you heard them, but I just want to, make that clear for anyone who did not attend the first one. We're going to go over just general recruitment tactics and plans for student groups. And then we're going to shift it a little to talk about what it's going to look like virtually. So maybe I can help give you some ideas since we don't know what the fall is going to look like. I want to then talk about communication styles and offer Clifton Strengths as a resource for your group for future sessions and workshops. So with that said, some disclaimers. And like I said, if you were in the first one, I apologize that this is a little bit of a repeat. But I do want to make it known to everyone that I understand, and I hope you understand, that every student group is different. So the experiences and the events and the meetings and your goals, all of that is different. So if something I say today doesn't really stick to your group, I apologize, but it might stick to somebody else. And also don't compare yourself to others. If your friends or your peers are doing one thing and you haven't done that, take some time to think about that. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe that just doesn't fit what your group does. The second one is, I want to stress, do not stress to you all. If there was any year, if there was any semester, any summer to not have done your elections or to be low on membership, or to really not know what's going on, this is the time because, we're all a little confused and we're all a little unsure of what we should be doing. The third disclaimer I want to offer to you all is just the importance of why we're doing this, the Summer Leadership Series. And it's because we want to give you all sort of a jump start to get ready for the fall. The spring ended very abruptly and you didn't have a whole lot of time to pick that up, and the summer is just crazy for everybody. So we wanted to offer these sessions to try and help you get some ideas and get some groundwork done. So when we start in the fall, you're ready to go because you have a very important role as a member of Shippensburg University and as a member of a student group at Shippensburg. So just a couple of disclaimers before we get into it. So yeah, so recruitment movement, let's get into that. And to start with general recruitment. So there's a couple of considerations you need to make about your student group as you think about recruitment. So these are just some reflection questions for you all to think about. So, how many members does your group need to function? Is that in your constitution? Is that just something that your group knows? How many members do you need? And if you've already hit that mark, how much room do you have for new members? Do you have a limit, or can you take 100 students? The next one then is, who are you trying to reach? Who are you trying to recruit? Are you looking for younger students? Are you looking for upperclassmen? Who do you need? Students who already have knowledge about whatever your group does. If you're the fly fishing group, do you need people who already understand how to do that? Or are you willing to take students who have no knowledge of that sort of thing? The third reflection to ask yourself is, when are you going to start your recruiting process? Is this something you want to start now during the summer? Or is this something that you're going to intentionally wait until we're back on campus in the fall? That's entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong answer to that. But then again, if you say you're going to start in the fall, are you going to start like the day we get back? Or are you going to give everyone kind of like a week or two to get into it? Just something you and your group need to think about. The next one then is, what is required of those who want to join your group? You'll probably get this question from potential members, so it's something you're going to want to think about. Do they need to do an interview, or do they need to fill out an application? Do they need to write a short speech to show why they want to be in there? Or do they just need to show up to the first meeting and then they're good? So that's something you need to think about if you don't already have that kind of laid out for your group. The last one to think about when you're thinking about your recruitment is, where are you going to do it? And this is much more of a logistical piece. So, will you solely use your social media and emails to reach out to students? Are you going to table in the cub and try and catch people as they walk by? Maybe you'll walk around campus and go to the res halls and just sort of be around and stopping people and saying like, hey, you look like you'd have a lot of fun in our group. The dining halls, all those sorts of things. There are things to consider and things to think about, even though we're not quite sure how they're all going to look and work in the fall. We're still going to have options for that sort of thing. So, where are you going to recruit? So now I wanted to offer you some ideas, kind of like some tips and tricks for recruitment, especially if you're a new group or you're new to, kind of being in charge of it, to being a leader. I just wanted to offer some ways to do this. So the first one is to hold open meetings or events where, anyone is willing to come, and the goal of that meeting is to kind of introduce everyone and then just sort of talk about what your group does, what's your mission, what does your constitution say, what events do you do? Same with your events. When you see people come to your events you don't know, start talking to them, like why'd they come? Maybe they'd be interested in helping out with these sorts of things. The second one is this bring a friend idea, where you have a regular meeting, but everyone who's in your group has to bring a friend to just come and sit and listen. And it could be just their roommate, or it could be somebody who, might be interested or hasn't joined a group yet. It's just to bring some new people into the room. The third one then is to make sure that you advertise. Obviously, this one's kind of, pretty self-explanatory. Put up flyers, post on social media, send out emails, use ShipLink. That's a crazy awesome resource for you all. Post events and post flyers on ShipLink, and then anyone who logs in sees it scroll across the top of their page. So that's a really awesome way to do that. And obviously, all the flyers and stuff on campus. The next idea is to offer prizes. Maybe you could do a competition with your current members. Whoever can recruit the most new members gets some sort of prize, whatever that might be, or whatever works for your group. Or, you could have incentives for people who sign up. Maybe they get a t-shirt or something like, I'm a new member of blah, 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 blah. That might be lame, but it could be cool. The next one then is to talk to faculty. If you're a student group who have a mission or have a goal or a focus or a theme that really relates to an academic side of campus, talk to those faculty members. Maybe they'd be willing to talk about your group to their classes, or maybe they'd let you come in and have 5 minutes at the beginning of the class to talk about your group and talk about what you do, which could be really, really cool. The next one, excitement. This is more of just kind of like a tip. When you talk about your group, be excited, be authentic, be willing to, really show the energy that you have, because there's a reason you're in that group. You must really love it, or you love the people, or something like that. So just show that excitement, and that's going to make people much more intrigued and, willing to kind of join in on things. Then I have invitations. It could be really nice to send out personalized invitations, especially if you go to something like the SIS fair, and you have a sign-up sheet. You could send personal invitations to those people, to those students who say they're interested. And then that shows that you care and you're interested in them. So that could be a really easy way to do that. And you don't have to go old school with like snail mail or anything. You could send an invitation, over through social media or through email. So that could be a really nice personal way to get people interested. The last one is to, collaborate with other student groups. Maybe you present at their meeting and they present at yours. Maybe you have bigger open meetings, almost like mini SIS fairs with a couple of other groups. Use the people power that comes with that. So that could be another awesome way to really get people to join your group. Obviously, the SIS Fair, just a quick information about that. The SIS Fair is a big way to get people to join your group because almost every student group comes to that, and we tell the whole campus and a whole bunch of people come. So your group, gets to set up your table and you can have those sign-up sheets, and you'll get more emails and stuff about that because we're still trying to figure out the logistics for it just because everything is looking different. But we are going to have one, so keep an eye out for that, and that's a pretty easy way to get some new members. So now looking at virtual recruitment, just because we all know that we're going to be back in August, but it's going to look a little bit different. And sometimes it's going to be easier to do things virtually as opposed to trying to navigate, the new way that the campus is running. The same reflection questions that I had earlier still apply to virtual recruitment, but now I just want to offer a couple of different ways to do recruitment as opposed to what I said before, because a lot of those were in person. So the first one is, to advertise. Instead of doing open meetings, do open Zoom meetings or Google Hangouts where, a couple of your members are just sort of chilling in there and advertise it out, and people can just pop in and ask questions or send things in the chat, which could be a safe way to recruit new members. The next one is to send out surveys or polls. Again, use ShipLink, please. It's an amazing resource for you all. And you can ask students if they're interested in joining, and if so, provide your contact information. It could be a quick 3-question. What's your name? What's your email? Do you want to join? Yes, no. And then you have an idea of people who might want to join. The next one is to host, and this was said in the first session on Monday, but host virtual events like bingos and trivias. Still do, energetic type things, because then people see that you're a group that's active and you do a lot and you have a lot of fun, and that makes them more inclined to join. The next one then, videos. I think it'd be really cool if student groups started creating these get to know you videos, or mission videos that show what you do, and then you post them on social media. I think that could be a lot of fun. And it really shows that you're more than just an email address. And it could be really quick. They could be 30-second videos that you post. Same thing then with, YouTube. Start a YouTube channel or a TikTok account or whatever. So take advantage of the things people are already familiar with and that they're already on all the time. I said this on Monday too. I think it'd be awesome if student groups started podcasts, so like a weekly podcast or something like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So just things like that, because then that gives your group something to do, and it also shows potential new members what you're up to. And the last one here is just to make sure that you and your current members are just continuously following up with your email accounts and your social media accounts, because that's where people are going to send their questions, and they're going to send the messages like, hey, I'd like to join. How do I do that? So if you respond in a timely manner, they're even more likely to show up to things. So just make sure that you and your group kind of split that up and make sure someone's always checking those sorts of things. So with that said, just a couple of reminders when it comes to recruitment. Quality, not quantity. Instead of looking to get 100 new members, maybe look to get 20 awesome members who are really going to be dedicated to your group and to your events and your activities. So just look for people who actually really want to, because there's going to be some folks who come to things like the SIS Fair and they sign up for everything because they're just nervous or they're excited or they're too scared to say no, right? So try and have conversations and try and find students who actually really want to join your group. That's going to save you a lot of time and energy in the long run. The second one then is to include all of your members in the recruitment process. Don't just make one person do it. It's going to be much easier for everyone if it's a team effort and you're all out there and you're all trying to recruit. And make sure everyone knows that you're open for new members, because they might have 5 or 6 friends who want to come. So just make sure all your current members are included in that. The third one then is transparency. And this one's pretty self-explanatory, but just be transparent, be authentic in what your group does and who you are. If you really only host one event a year, that's fine, but don't lie and say you put on 100. If you only have 5 members, then be honest about that. Say we only have 5 right now, but we're looking to get 10. because, you know, you're going to have people stay a little bit longer if they show up and what they expected was there. So just be transparent and be honest. And that's going to help you out in the long run. And the last one, I'm sure you're all very nice people, so I don't have to remind you too much of this, but just be welcoming, especially to those first couple of meetings and events, right? Like when someone comes in, it can be kind of awkward, it can be intimidating, it can be scary. So just be welcoming, be yourself, just let them know who you are and let them know that they're welcomed in that space. But again, you're all very nice individuals, so I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. So now I want to transition to communication styles. And this doesn't necessarily have to do with recruitment, but it is a very important thing to talk about when you have a student group or a team and you're a member of that. So I'm just going to go through this very quickly and just show off some of these communication styles and why it's important. So this thing you see right here has 4 different styles of communication on it. And I'm going to be honest with you, I hate it. I do not like these 4. I'm only showing you this to show you the kinds of images you see out there and the topics you see out there that are just, they're awful. I'm going to be completely honest, because if you read them, if you take the time to read all 4 of these, the first 3, the blue, the yellow, and the red, are all pretty negative. The people who are in those styles really come down hard on them. And then if you look at the green one, it's a positive and it's encouraging and it's like rewarding and everything like that. So it's implying that there's only one right communication style. And I don't believe that at all. I think we all have a communication style that's very important and very effective. Could we all improve a little bit? Yes, but I don't think that there's only one right communication style. So if you see anything like this, just ignore it. This isn't right. This is the kind of thing that I like to see, because it shows the strengths of each one, and it shows how they're all kind of connected and related, and it allows you to kind of be more than one depending on the situation, which is so true. You know, when we're communicating with our peers, we're going to communicate very differently than with our faculty or with our coworkers, that sort of thing. So I know it's kind of hard to see, and I'm going to break the 4 down and just zoom in on them so you can see them a little bit better. But just something to look at when you see the whole circle is the vertical line down the middle splits it between introverts and extroverts. And you're all probably pretty familiar with that. But, you know, extroverts are the people. They really get energy from being with others. And introverts are much more thought motivated and self-motivated. They actually get exhausted talking to people. So that's kind of how you see that the top 2, the red and the yellow, are more extroverted, and the green and the blue are a little more introverted. So that might help you as a good place to start of where you might, you know, fall on this. And then if you look at the horizontal line that goes across the middle, it separates the circle between task-focused and people-focused. And this one could also help you out. You know, the yellow and the blue are people-focused, and the red and the green, they are task-focused. And this could be helpful. Like, I know I'm always more people-focused than task-focused. I wish I was more on the left side. But that helped me decide to start with the blue and the yellow to see which one I might be. A quick disclaimer, one of these is not better than the other. They're all equal. They all have their strengths. And I'm going to go through them real quickly and even show you some examples of famous people who are in them to help you kind of, you know, connect what they are. So the first one here is the red one. It's the dominant director. And these are very extroverted folks who are task focused. These people like to speak their minds. They get straight to the point. They like to lead, and they tend to be pretty competitive. I sometimes wish I had more of this, but that's the dominant director. And to show you an example of this, these are 3 celebrities who fall under this category. So kind of creepy Simon Cowell, and sometimes creepy but legendary Madonna, and my queen Venus Williams. All of these people are very direct in the way that they communicate. And I think people like Simon Cowell are probably the best example for all of us, because we've all seen him judge and do interviews where he is very rash and he's very straight to the point. But at the same time, he then has something sensible and a piece of advice almost to follow up. So that's kind of how the dominant directors work. They're just like, this is how it is and this is how it's going to be. So then looking at the green section, the cautious thinker, these folks are introverted and they're task focused. They're very logical and they're very scientific when they approach their problems. And then they're meticulous and they're thorough, and they focus on accuracy and procedures. This all comes out in the way that they communicate, because they take the time to think and then they share their thoughts and their beliefs with everybody else. And let me tell you, I wish I had a little bit more of this too, because I could use it. I could use a little more direction. So here are some examples of cautious thinkers. Again, kind of creepy Bill Gates, just gonna say it out loud. For any Star Trek fans, there's Dr. Spock, and then you have Harry Potter fans, you got Hermione Granger, and then in the middle, Condoleezza Rice, who was a politician. I don't know what she's doing now. But I think that the Dr. Spock and Hermione are good examples because you see that in action in the movies of what a cautious thinker really is. So then the next one is the inspiring socializer, the yellow quadrant of the circle. And these folks are extroverted and they're people focused. They enjoy socializing. They enjoy working with people in a team. They like to have fun. They tend to be very creative, and they really are good at inspiring others as in how they communicate with folks. So some examples here, possibly problematic Ellen DeGeneres, still up in the air. You have Jimmy Kimmel. You have the Queen, Oprah Winfrey, and then you have used to be Prince Harry. Don't know what that's all about. But this one I think is the most obvious of really what these people are like and how they communicate, because 3 of the 4 are or were talk show hosts. And they have this energy and they're creative and they really are able to inspire people with the work and the words that they use. I don't know how they know that Prince Harry is this, because I don't know really what he does, but a lot of people know who he is, so I threw him up there. So then the last quadrant, the blue one, is the supportive empathizer, and these folks are introverted, and they're people focused. So the supportive empathizers, they're supportive, they're accommodating, they're detail oriented, they take care of getting things done without needing attention for it. They're very quiet in the work that they do and they just get it done. They tend to be very empathetic, hence the empathizer, which means that they get what people are feeling. They understand what everyone's going through, which can be a huge benefit. So then this category, I think, is kind of the funniest mix of people, because you have Mother Teresa and Gandhi, these like legendary spiritual human beings. You have Princess Diana, and then you have America's dad, I guess, Peyton Manning. I don't really know how he relates to everybody else, but he's in there. So these are the supportive empathizers for you. So now that we went over the whole circle, the question is, so what? Why did I bring this up to you all as student leaders, as members of our community? Well, when you think about it, you can probably pinpoint some of the styles that might not work well together. In my head, the dominant director, the red one, the first one, and the last one, the supportive empathizer, probably wouldn't get along too well, at least not at first. Picture the dominant director coming into work and asking the supportive empathizer for, their list of events for the week or the list of meetings, and that's it. That's all they say, and then they leave. The supportive empathizer is going to be sitting there saying, like, yeah, I can get them that list, but why didn't they ask how my day was, or how I'm feeling, or how my weekend was? Like, did I do something wrong? And they start to think about why there wasn't anything else to that conversation. Meanwhile, the dominant director's like, great, got that taken care of, can move on to the next thing, like completely oblivious to that. And then if you flip that, if the empathizer comes in and tells the dominant director, like, hey, I need our list of events for the week. By the way, how was your weekend? How are you feeling? How are you doing? How's your mom? All those sorts of questions. The dominant director is going to get annoyed so quickly because they think it's frivolous. They don't need to do it. So understanding the different communication styles is so important, because you can recognize where those conflicts could start. And then because you recognize who is who, you're able to kind of adjust the way that you work with them and the way that you communicate with them. You're able to know that if they didn't ask how your day was, it's not that they don't care. It's just that that's not in the forefront of their mind, or vice versa. So it's very beneficial for your team because it avoids any of those conflicts that could really cause some long-lasting problems. And you just get a better sense of yourself and your team, which is always helpful. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm not trying to, do any lesson on it or anything like that. I just want to present it to you all as a future resource for your group, more as like a team bonding type thing. I would always be willing to facilitate this sort of workshop with your group at any time of the year. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Strengths Quest is also known as Clifton Strengths. And this fine fella you see on the screen, Don Clifton, he's the one that created it. He's dedicated his life to figuring out, why do we focus on people's weaknesses? We should be focusing on their strengths. What are they good at? And so he developed this. It's an assessment. You take a quiz. It's a long one too, and it's pretty in depth. And at the end of it, you get your 5 strengths that are personalized and customized to you. And then you're able to see how they relate to your teammates, to your peers, to your fellow group members, whatever it is. So he developed it for who knows how many years of doing this. And the inventory has these 5 ideals that it likes to follow. It has the idea that you as an individual have a group of talents within you. And when you learn about those talents and you work with those talents, it helps you build confidence, right? And then because you have that confidence, because you know what you're good at, you then are able to achieve more because you go for more, you do more, you sign up for more. And then, each of your strengths can be applied in any area of your life. This isn't just something that happens kind of in your professional life. This could be, these apply to anything. This is how you live your life. And the last one there is kind of obvious about how as you continue to work on your strengths and your talents, you find yourself with more success than someone who might not focus on those sorts of things. So then just real quick, what is a strength? It's this ability that you have that you are able to consistently and almost perfectly perform. So one of the strengths, for example, is futuristic. If you have the futuristic strength, almost all the time, you're looking at a decision or a conversation or a project as how it's going to affect your future, or how can you make it tie into your future. And at the same time, you're also focusing on making decisions that do affect your future. You don't care about the past, whatever, that's in the past. So that's what a strength is. Like I said, it's derived from your talents, things that you've already grown into because of your life experiences. And they're also based on the patterns of your life, your behavioral patterns and your thought patterns. And this is where your strengths are found. You build up that strength because you're consistently doing it, or for some reason, that's what your subconscious chooses. So then looking here, just a quick to show you what they are. These are all 35 of them. These are the ones that everybody gets. And if you pay an outrageous amount of money, you can get all 35 ranked for you. But for a much smaller price that we would cover if we did a workshop for you, for your group, you get your 5. And the cool thing is, if I have the same number 1 strength as my friend, my definition is going to be different than my friend's. That's how specific it gets to everybody. And you can see these 4 categories here, which are pretty cool. Executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. Fun fact, 4 of my 5 have always been in relationship building, which makes sense. That's why I do the work that I do, because it is people driven, and that's where I get my energy, and that's where I feel good, and I know I can do a good job. I've never had executing, and I've only once had strategic thinking. So, maybe I could work on those a little bit, but that's not who I am. So, I can lean on other people to help me out in those categories, which is the cool thing if you did this with your team. You would be able to see how many strengths you have in relationship building and executing. And maybe your group doesn't have anybody who has a strength in strategic thinking. Well, then maybe when you do your recruitment, you try and see if there's anybody out there who might be able to help you with those. Or if you have one person who's all in the influencing category, when you need help with those sorts of things, you can look to them. Whereas maybe they don't have anything in relationship building, then they're going to look to you to help with those. So it really improves your teamwork, and it really helps you understand, why you guys work together and how you work so well together. So I just wanted to throw this out here as a resource for you all, as a future team building. If you want to do it, just reach out and we can do this, and it'll be a really awesome time. I love it. So then if you attended the first session, you've seen this already, but here's a picture of college students. Great, let's push them 6 feet apart. And that's what our fall semester is going to look like, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's also really awesome because we are going to be back together. Our lives are going to feel a little bit different, but we're still going to wake up every morning. You're still going to leave your residence hall or your apartment. You're still going to go to class. You're still going to get food at the dining halls. There's still going to be events. You're still going to be able to hang out. It's just all going to feel a little bit different, but the same idea then applies to your student groups. You're still able to be who you are and do what you want to do. We're just going to ask that you do it a little differently so that we can stay safe, that you and your student and your peers can stay safe. And just a last minute piece here then too. Faculty and staff, we're still here to support you. So if you don't know what to do, if you feel stuck, if you feel lost, please reach out to somebody, because that's our job, is to help you all and to help you all feel good and ready to go and get done what you need to do. We want you to meet your goals for the semester and for the year. So please just reach out to anybody and we'll try and help you out whenever we can. That applies to both your student group and just you as human beings. So yeah, so then the last thing here is just a thanks, and to let you know, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or if you want to just ask them out loud right now. There's only 9 of us in here, so if you know, go ahead and speak up. I'll try and answer them, and if I don't have the answer, I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, and I'll hang out in the Zoom here a little bit, so if anyone needs to chat about anything, we can. But other than that, that's all I got for session 2. So thanks everyone for being here and for attending. I can absolutely share the PowerPoint, Veronica. I can do that. For Ian, for the SIS fair, there will be a deadline, but there is not one yet. So you have not missed anything. It's been taking a long time, and I do apologize for that, but we have to get so many things approved now because of the way that the fall is going to look. So you will get more about that, but you haven't missed anything yet. So. And thanks, Luke, for the validation on strengths class. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's all I have for everyone. So good to go. If you want to hang out, you can. I'll be chilling with Veronica, so